Welcome to the Head Over Heels podcast, dedicated to helping you build the business and life of your dreams. We'll be sharing tips on management, leadership, strategy, marketing and mindset, and much more. Let's get started with your host, Angela Cedrin.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Heads Over Heels. Today we're going to be talking about stepping up, finding your voice, getting heard, getting rewarded, and living the life you deserve. How does that sound? Well, today's guest, Carolyn Bay, the approachable coach, can help you do that. Carolyn, welcome.
Thank you very much, Angela.
So, Carolyn, you've been an accountant forever, and I've learned that you studied in India and moved here 16 years ago with your kids.
Yes, that's correct. I have been an accountant straight out of uni, commerce graduate into accounts, and have been there pretty much a long time. Mm-hmm. I have had a couple of businesses and tried different things, but the predominant area has been accounting.
Yeah. But I know when we were talking before, you were telling me that that's not your real passion in life. You've really discovered your passion now, and that's coaching women, particularly women who suffer from the imposter syndrome and who are quite timid and really struggle to find their voice at work, to step up and be heard.
Yes, that's correct, because I've been there myself. I've been the timid one, the shy one, and realized over time and had to coach myself. It took a long time to do that, obviously, but to be able to realize that it's time we actually step out, and the more we can be ourselves, the happier we are. And when we can be happy, then people around us are happy. We also teach our kids how to be happy. They don't learn from mom's the quiet type, so therefore I've got to be quiet in case you've got a girl. Or for a boy, it's even worse, because then he expects a quiet wife. And it's like just setting up both of them for failure, basically. So, and I think as mothers, we all want to be role models for our kids. We want our kids to have the best, to have more than we have, but they learn from what we do. So that's what made me step out of being timid and actually standing up and getting my voice heard, basically.
I love that idea. I mean, I'm a mother too, like you. We're both mothers, and we both know that we do whatever we have to for our kids. Yeah. But often when I speak to women, they'll say to me that their biggest achievement in life is having their children. And I'll challenge them on that, and I'll say it's not having your children, because anybody can have children. It's the legacy that you leave for your children. Correct. And
it's the kind of adults that your children become, Are
Exactly.
you going to be proud of what they are when they are 30, 40, 50, however old you get when you see them at those ages.
Yeah.
And what you do in those formative years, while yes, food and sport and extracurricular activities are all great in their primary years, what forms their adulthood is how you're living your life now. Your relationship with you, your relationship with your partner, your individual relationship with your kids. That's what's critical. That's what makes the community.
That's I love that, actually. And I think we really share that value and those values as well. Because and the thing is, sometimes it takes us a while to work it out. I mean, it took me 25 years to work out who I really want to be. My son's 25 now, and I think he's turned out okay. But I think it sounds like it took you a while to work that out as well.
You could call me a slow learner. Look, there's been something inside of me that knew I needed to make these changes. So, I have done the best for my kids, and every parent does that. But now it's about moving to the next level and showing them that, more can be done. You don't have to be born rich or be born with the so-called silver spoon in your mouth to make your life worthwhile. And it's about you living your life as authentically as possible, being happy in your little corner of the world. Because if everybody was to do that, the world's going to be better. We don't all have to go around saying, I'm going to change the entire world. And, it's great to have those dreams of changing people's lives, which is what you're doing, which is what I do. And we want to change as many lives as possible. But if all those lives start with first you, and I think I've done that, and therefore in a position to help other women who've been in a similar scenario and help them make their little corner of the world beautiful.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm a slow learner too, but that's okay, because what we're doing now is we're helping other women to short circuit that. And we're saying, look, don't make the mistakes that we made.
Correct.
We can help you, and we can really change everything for you. So
absolutely,
let's do that. So I'm keen to find out more about what you do. You know, when we spoke before, you were telling me that you were basically telling me your story about how you grew up in India. Indian culture, I think the women can potentially be a little bit more timid. And that you feel is something that's held you back. So tell me a little bit more about what you do and why you do it.
Okay, and just to give a little bit of a background again, you know, for the people who are listening to this, being brought up in India, even though I'm Anglo-Indian and therefore a fairly forward class to speak in India, I still grew up in a society where girls were seen, not heard. So, you know, you just stay quiet and you just give in what you're given. I had an awesome life as a child, as best as I could in the circumstances. And but then I, you know, moved from that. So now what I help women do is I help them basically get over the fears that are holding them back. Because, you know, it's fears of, first of all, your own mind chatter of, you know, are you worthy of even opening your mouth, and if you have anything worthwhile to say? And that's just you talking to yourself without even worrying about what everybody else is going to think about what you're saying. So, you know, to help them get over those fears, to understand that they have that innate value within them and believe in themselves so that they can step out. And what I do is more on a work front, because that's an easy area to focus on and give women a quick confidence boost, so to speak, because many things are measurable there. So in a work scenario, for example, a timid woman would never want to speak in a meeting, you know, and because basically, as timid women go, they're happy to talk in a group of 2 or 3, and that's about all. You put them in a group of 10, doesn't matter how much knowledge we have. It's hard to then talk. So we need to be able to make contributions, small steps forward. So that's what I do, is like, you know, teach them how to make that small step, how to start off with just contributing one small thing. And there was also something I read, that it's important to contribute quickly, because the longer you take to contribute in a meeting, you find that you just can't open your mouth.
Yes.
So, like, you know, some people do it in the first 5 minutes of the meeting, just say something. Once you get it out there, that fear, the voice of fear, can then be stopped, and you can contribute more, or you might choose not to. But as a first step, that's a good way to do it. So what I would teach my clients is basically how to get heard. The second thing is how to get rewarded, and that's once you start talking, because you've been invisible, you've been timid, you know, doing a kind of work, like even if you take an accounting work, you don't need to talk to people to do accounts. So that was a good role for me, to stay quiet. But then, you know, you realize that by not talking, people don't know you. People don't know you exist. You get passed over for promotions. You might have the experience, have the knowledge, know the company, you know, back to front, but it doesn't help you. You never get rewarded. So then I would help them by, and simple steps, you know, just to give you an idea, would be understand what your worth is as far as the organization is concerned. You know, what is your skills and knowledge worth to the organization? Compare yourself to other organizations or other people doing your role. That gives you the knowledge. And again, once you have the knowledge, it's a lot easier to speak to what you know, rather than just pulling something out of the air. It gives you the confidence to then actually go to your manager and say, hey, I'm worth this much more. This is the kind of work I do, not getting paid enough here. And more often than not, when you have that knowledge and you can back up the reason for your gap in your pay, you will get it. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you might even find that, you know, companies can't afford it, but then you suddenly have opened up your own eyes to the fact that you are worth more. You'll then be bold enough to then go and apply for a job where you can get what you valued.
I guess one of the things about timid women is that we tend to settle. You know, we think this is good enough, and
correct.
But the problem is, I guess the issue, it will gnaw away at you eventually, because something inside you still knows that this is not right.
Correct. You're not going to be happy. You're just going to just keep plodding along in life.
I guess a good way I would describe it is you become a little bit of a ghost at work.
I guess that's part of being invisible, really.
Exactly.
Because, you don't believe in yourself anymore. So, then why would anybody else believe in you?
Exactly. Yeah.
So, and that's where that inner change comes from. So the first part is to, work on yourself, for you to understand your value. Then you take it out to the world, and, you can see that people are then able to see your value and appreciate you. So that's part of what I do. And the last thing I do is actually teach them how to live life on their terms, because many timid women end up sitting by and watching other people doing all the wonderful things in the life that they want to do, whether it's traveling, whether it's, being a stay-at-home mom, whether it's like any kind of job that's fascinating to them. They just manage to find people who they can look at and say, that's the kind of life I would like. But they don't actually then do that. So part of what I do is also to help them identify what it is that they want to do, what it is that's going to make them, wake up every morning like, I'm glad to be alive, I'm glad for this day, rather than I'm just a wife, or I've just got to go work now for the sake of paying the bills, and, just the down feeling, just to take them up to a higher vibration where they're happier in life.
Yeah, I think the thing is, women particularly, I think a lot of women struggle with this. We go through the first 20 years of our adulthood being mothers and daughters and employees and wives, and we don't have a voice because we always feel that we have to give and look after.
Absolutely.
And then it gets to the point where we suddenly go, hang on a minute, I don't even know who I am anymore. Correct. Because I'm not doing things that are me,
Yes.
And I can see how just making that shift, and look, it's not always an easy shift, and it's so much easier when you've got a coach and you've got somebody who can hold a mirror up to you and challenge you to actually make that change. Because family will always tend to, and we love family, but family have a tendency to try and keep us the way we are because it's safe, because they feel it's a way of keeping us safe. And they don't always like change. People don't tend to like change. So I can see how having your support through this process, particularly when you've got a woman who is timid and her whole family is used to having her a particular way, and the people at work are used to having her a particular way, and suddenly she's like, hang on a second, who is this person?
Absolutely.
She's speaking and she's finding her voice. So do you help them manage that? Because even though you help them at work, there will always be changes at home as well.
Absolutely, because and like I said, the work is just something that's measurable. You can easily see it, but the immeasurables are your relationship with your partner, relationship with your children. Everything's going to change. You're suddenly going to get a voice. You're going to be making decisions that they might have been nervous about. They might now stand up and at least tell their husbands they don't want to do something that they might have been doing for years on end without any question, But and that's what so what I would do is, yes, there's going to be a bit of pushing, because it is about, if when someone comes to me for this coaching, it's because they've said that they want to be transformed. They are willing to make that investment in their life to change their life from now on. So, I will, I call myself the approachable coach, because I believe that they would be able to come and talk to me anything, but then I will use that to push them beyond their comfort zone, because that's the push that they need, and that's why they're investing with me.
So behavioral change,
absolutely. So there will be that push, there will be that encouragement, there will be the support system for however long it takes for them, because some people will change quickly and some people might not. It just depends on how long and how strong this timidity has controlled them. But yes, I will be there helping them through not just their work life, because the intention is that it will have the impact through all their relationships, that their entire life gets better.
Yeah.
But we take it like, a step at a time.
Yeah,
let's do something that's absolutely possible first.
And I guess it's also about making that a lasting change as well. And I think it's so beautiful that you are so committed to really helping them through that whole process. I particularly like the fact that you said that, you'll be there holding their hand throughout, whether it's they need it for a longer or a shorter period as well.
Absolutely. My passion is trying to help women, because I have been there and I have moved on from there.
Yeah.
So I know it's possible. I've been down that road. I know what they're feeling, and I can help them through that. So Each one takes their time, but I'm as committed to their progress. If what they want is to actually transform, because as they take steps, they'll find it. It's easy once you do it. It's just having that encouragement. And like you said, support, because family can be supportive, but they're also terrified of change.
Very much so. And they might suddenly go, who is this person,
Exactly. And it's being able to cope with all the consequences of that too. And that comes from knowing yourself and being confident in yourself, because only then you're going to be able to cope with all the other changes and the consequences of those changes, because people will start changing when you change too. And you may or may not like those changes, just the same way that they may or may not like the changes in you. So therefore that inner confidence is necessary.
Well, something that somebody said to me, and it's a really simple thing that they said to me years ago, but it really stayed with me and impacted me, was that you teach people how to treat you.
Yes, correct.
You teach them what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. And honestly, it's such a simple concept, but when I thought about it, I went, okay, I understand that. So if
Absolutely.
you behave like a doormat, you are teaching people to treat you like a doormat. And then
Correct.
Obviously when you suddenly change and go, hang on, I'm not doing this anymore, they might not like it. They might go, hang
Absolutely.
on, this doesn't work for me anymore.
Exactly.
And that takes courage, but with someone to support you through that and someone to talk to, and even sometimes someone to say, you know what, Carolyn, I've worked so hard and I felt like I was making progress and I've gone backwards. For just have somebody to say to them, listen, smack you around the head, this is normal, pull your head in, don't worry about it, just pick yourself up and we'll keep going. That's really
Absolutely.
Very powerful as
Absolutely.
well.
It is about, pushing them to get out of that comfort zone, because it's very easy for us to just slip back into what we know.
Yeah, it is.
That's all of us. I mean, we've all done that. So it's so easy to just go back. This is too hard. And just I'll end up watching a TV show, waste your time, whatever it is, not, and that's just a small example, but, you just use anything to get away from those hard decisions that you just don't want to face.
Yeah.
And that's where I think I'd come into play, because I'd be like, time to move on, make those changes in your life.
Well, procrastination is a disease many of us suffer from, and I think the wonderful thing about a coach is that we often have the prescription for it.
Absolutely. I think that's a good way to put it. Yeah, coach is a good prescription for procrastination.
Carolyn, it's been an absolute joy to speak to you today. I'm sure many of our audience would love to get in touch with you. Tell me, how do they do that?
All they'd have to do is just go to my website, Angela. It's Coaching by CB. So that's just my initials for Carolyn Bay. So coachingbycb.com. And everything's there for them to be able to get in touch with me so that I could help them.
Wonderful. And I'll put that in the end of the interview as well. So if people missed it, they can get it too. But that's coachingbycb.com. Thank you for watching today. This has been another edition of Heads Over Heels. Today we've had the absolute joy of talking to Carolyn Bay. I'm your host, Angela Cedrin, and I will see you next time.
This episode of Head Over Heels, the podcast for female entrepreneurs, has ended. But be sure to subscribe for more business strategies and tactics to help you create the profitable and successful business and life you've always dreamed of. And don't forget to rate and review so we can continue to bring you the best content. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode.